Hello everyone. I am Dr. Sawan Giridhar Dharmpuriwar, Associate Professor, Department of English, Vidyasagar Kala Mahavidyalay, Khairi, Bijewada, Ramtek. Today, we are going to discuss the topic literary terms. So let us begin with the topic. Let us begin with the topic by taking definition and meaning of literary terms. Literary terms are the devices used by the writers to make their writing better. Literary terms help the writer to tell a story or make a point through his writing. In other words, we can say that literary terms are the techniques and elements those are used by the writers to create narrative and dramatic literature, poetry, speeches, or any other form of literature. While taking the definition of literary terms in simple words, we can say that literary terms refers to the typical structures used by the writers in their works to convey their message in simple manner to the readers. When employed properly, the different literary terms help readers to appreciate, interpret, and analyze a literary work. Various literary terms, those we are going to discuss in this lecture, are anti-hero, intrigue, catharsis, hamartia, subplot, three unities, suspense, and surprise. So let us learn these 8 literary terms one by one. So the first literary term that we are going to discuss today is anti-hero. Anti-hero or heroine is a central character in dramatic or narrative work. Though it is a central character, but it lacks the qualities of nobility traditionally associated with the central character, traditionally associated with the hero or the heroine. But at the same time, anti-hero should not be confused with the antagonist or the villain. Its notable examples are character of Jimmy Porter in the play Look Back in Anger. At the same time, character of Willie Loman in the play Death of a Salesman. In simple words, we can say that anti-hero resembles the angry young man or Garibo ka Rakhwala types image often seen in Hindi movies. The next literary term that we are going to discuss is intrigue. The word intrigue is derived from the French word intriguer. Its original meaning is plot or conspiracy. It is older term for the plot of the play or story for its most complicated portion. The term intrigue also refers to the secret scheme that one character or group of characters devise in order to outwit others. Most of the European comedies of 17th century are based on complex plot about the plotters and sometimes called as comedy of intrigue. The next literary term is catharsis. It usually happens that when we see some tragic film or scene in a movie or in a serial or on stage, we became sad. We knew that what is happening in drama or movie or TV serial is not real. It's just a, what we can say, imaginary story, but still we feel sad with the tragic happenings on the stage or screen. This happens because of our imaginative participation in the sufferings of the tragic events those are happening. It creates a sense of purification or purgation in us called as catharsis. So, in other words, we can say that catharsis is effect of purgation or purification achieved by tragic drama. Aristotle, in his Poetics, described tragedy as a catharsis of spectators' emotions through the sense of pity and fear created because of the tragic events. The term catharsis commonly denotes the purification of the emotions through the imaginative participation in the sufferings of the tragedy. The next dramatic device is, the next literary term is hamartia. Hamartia is a Greek word for error or failure. It was used by Aristotle in Poetics. Aristotle used it to designate the false step that leads the protagonist or a central character in a tragedy to his or her downfall. Aristotle shows that ideal tragic hero is one whose misfortune is caused not by vices but by some error or mistake committed by the central character, committed by that hero or the heroine of the tragedy. The mighty hero or the central character of the tragedy goes up to his doom because of the error committed by him, and such error is called as hamartia. The next literary term is subplot. Subordinate or minor story in fiction or drama is called as the subplot. Subplot is secondary sequence of actions in a dramatic or narrative work. It usually involves the characters of lesser importance. The subplot may be related to the main plot, or it may be separate from the main plot of dramatic or the narrative work. Aristotle, in his Poetics, states that no subplot unconnected to the main plot should be introduced in the drama. Subplots are very common in Elizabethan drama. William Shakespeare has often created subplots parallel to the main plot in his plays, and some of the notable examples of subplots are Jessica story in the play Merchant of Venice, that goes parallel with the story of Portia. Then we can say that Gloucester story in the famous tragedy written by William Shakespeare, King Lear, is a notable. These are the notable examples of subplot. Next literary term that we are going to discuss is three unities. The classical drama follows three unities. These three unities are unity of time, unity of action, and unity of place. Theory of unity is based on the passages in the writings of Aristotle in his famous book Poetics. Aristotle speaks about unity of time and unity of action. The third unity, unity of place, is implied in the unity of time. Observance of these three unities was must for the classical drama. It was needed for the better performance and presentation of the drama on the stage. Next literary term is suspense. Suspense is an anxious uncertainty about what is going to happen in the story or the plot. It is specially related with the characters with whom we have established the bonds of sympathy. This literary term is often employed to hold the interest of the readers or audience in particular dramatic or the narrative art. Next literary term which is related with suspense is surprise. Surprise is nothing but the twist in the story. It is a sudden and or rather we can say that a sudden and unexpected turn of fortune or action in the drama or a narrative work is called as surprise. The interplay of suspense and surprise is a prime source of magnetic power of the plot. This device is most effectively used by Elizabethan dramatists to hold the interest of the audience in the drama, and William Shakespeare was a master of using this particular craft. So with this literary term, we have come to the end of our discussion. But before we end our discussion, we shall once again take a quick recap of the literary terms, those we have learned in this discussion. We have started our discussion with the definition and meaning of the literary terms, and while taking the definition and meaning of literary terms in simple words, we can say that literary terms refers to the typical structures used by the writers in their works to convey their message in simple manner to the readers, or rather we can say that literary terms are the techniques and elements those are used by the writers to create narrative and dramatic literature, poetry, speeches, or any other form of literature. And when these literary terms are employed properly, those terms help readers to appreciate and interpret and analyze a literary work in very fine manner. At the same time, they convey the message given by the writer from its drama or creation or speech. Various literary terms that we have discussed in these lectures are antihero, intrigue, catharsis, hamartia, subplot, three unities, suspense, and surprise. The first literary term was antihero. Antihero is a central character in a drama or the narrative work. Antihero or heroine or the central characters lacks traditional qualities of the hero and it should not be confused as villain. And the famous examples are Jimmy Porter in the play Look Back in Anger and Willy Loman in the play Death of a Salesman. Next literary term was intrigue. Intrigue is derived from French intrigueur, meaning conspiracy. It is an older term used for plot. Intrigue is a secret theme that one character or group of characters devise in order to outwit others. It is a complex plot of plotters. Next literary term was catharsis. Catharsis is effect of purgation or purification achieved by the tragic drama. Tragedy is catharsis, or rather purification, purgation of spectators' emotions through pity and fear. It happens due to imaginative participation in the sufferings of the tragedy. While discussing literary term hamartia, we can say that hamartia is a Greek word for failure. It is used by Aristotle in Poetics. Aristotle states that ideal hero is one who brings his or his misfortune by the mistake, by an error. The mighty hero of tragedy goes up to his doom, up to his downfall, up to his end because of the error committed by him, and such error is called as hamartia. Next literary term was subplot. Subplot is subordinate or minor story in fiction or drama. It is a secondary sequence in drama. It involves the character of lesser importance. Subplot may be related or separate from the main plot, and the notable examples are Lorenzo Jessica story in the play Merchant of Venice and Gloucester story in the play King Lear. While discussing three unities, we have seen that the classical drama follows three unities, and these three unities are unity of time, unity of action, and unity of place. The first two unities were discussed by Aristotle in Poetics, and unity of place is implied in the unity of time, and observance of these three unities was must for the classical drama. While discussing suspense, we discussed that suspense is an anxious uncertainty about what is going to happen next. The dramatist cleverly creates it. It is spatially associated with those characters with whom we have established the bonds of sympathy. It is often employed to hold the interest of the audience in particular dramatic or the narrative work. And the last literary term that we have gone through was surprise. Surprise is a twist in the story. It is a sudden, unexpected turn to the story given by the writer. It is turn of fortune or action in the play, and the interplay of suspense and surprise is a prime source of entertainment in the play. So with this, I can say that I have come to an end of my discussion on the topic literary terms, and various literary terms that we have discussed in this lecture are, or rather we have discussed about anti-hero, intrigue, catharsis, hamartia, subplot, three unities, suspense, and surprise. I hope you might have enjoyed the discussion. Thank you. Thank you all of you.